unless you prefer riding in caged vehicles. There hasn't been a lot to get excited about in the four-wheeled segment for quite a while. Some manufacturers have significantly improved existing machines, and we've seen the introduction of a few budget-focused models in recent years. However, ATV manufacturers have failed to deliver a new machine for the masses to marvel over for some time now. A machine not only unlike anything else in its class, but an ATV unlike anything else on the market. Since launching the Sportsman XP 1000 back in 2015, Polaris has been in a back-and-forth horsepower war with Can-Am in the 1-liter Sport Utility segment. With butter-smooth clutching on the Sportsman and various throttle modes to tame down the power now standard in the class, it's becoming abundantly clear that more power may no longer be what's best for most riders. This 2020 ATV On Demand test was made possible by Maxima Premium ATV Engine Oil, formulated for today's higher revving, hotter running, high-performance engines. Exceeding OEM specifications, its proprietary additives create a sheer, stable polymer system, providing unsurpassed protection against wear, oxidation, viscosity, and thermal breakdown. Its wet clutch formula provides outstanding fade-free clutch performance. Maxima Premium ATV Engine Oil, available at power sports dealers everywhere.
You know, we're the leader right now and the innovator, and the machines that we're going to show you today are going to prove that to you. I guess from a new standpoint, performance ATV has been pretty light, I would say, lately. You know, we redid the Sportsman in 17, we did the Scrambler, we haven't touched that since 14. So the market's ready for something. And the customer today, we call these big bores to us, so 800 and above. It's a fairly small market for us, to be frank. It's 15% of what we sell in ATV, but that, over the last 5 years, that's like 60,000 machines. And if you throw in Bomber and Yamaha and Honda, it's about 320,000 people over the last 5 years that have bought a big bore machine, and they're looking for something new. So we think it's the right time to do this product. From a customer standpoint, so who is this customer? They currently have a big bore today. They are affluent. They've got the money to ride a side-by-side today. They want to drive an ATV, and I talked to John last night, and a lot of people like to ride or active still. They like to ride alone, some of them, and maybe it's a nostalgia thing, maybe it's they're coming off a motorcycle thing, so there's still a customer for the ATV vehicles today. Of course, with being an innovator, we've got some challenges ahead of us from a regulatory standpoint. These vehicles, based on a wheelbase or width or weight, there's some states where you can't register these things today. So we're working on that right now with the government. So from an intro standpoint, this is a niche product that we're looking at today. We're really committed to it. We think this is going to reestablish Polaris as the innovation and performance leader. And so we're proud to introduce to you today the industry's first and only 55-inch long travel ATV. So this is the Sportsman XP 1000 S, and this is the Scrambler 1000 S.
So my name is Nell Zide. I'm on the ATV marketing team here at Polaris. And we're out here in the desert today to talk about our all-new Sportsman XP 1000S. So the reason that we kind of sat down and decided to build a 55-inch wide ATV is really that those top, kind of performance, what we call performance big bore customers, really wanted two things. They wanted more suspension and they wanted more capability. They didn't necessarily ask for more width, but the width really is what allows all of those things to occur. So with the width, we get a lot more stability, we get long travel suspension with 14 inches of travel, and a lot more confidence to go faster and ride harder over more terrain. The first thing that you'll notice on this vehicle is the stance, right? So we've gone from 48 inches wide to 55 inches wide, which really gives it that big aggressive stance, which really kind of sets the platform for our more capability and our increased stability. Even though it's familiar bodywork, it's an all-new platform start to finish. And so 4 or 5 years ago, when we set out to build a 55-inch ATV, we did it with a clean sheet and a brand new platform underneath that's specifically built for a 55-inch ATV. So one of the things that we did is we stretched the wheelbase. So the wheelbase is actually 4 inches longer, and we added that wheelbase in front of the rider. That helps that front end stay nice and light. and helps the balance of the vehicle, especially as you start riding hard. With the 55-inch stance, we did high clearance A-arms. And so not only does it have 14.5 inches of ground clearance, it's got a lot of clearance underneath the vehicle, wider than just right down the middle of the skid plate. With the stance, we get long travel suspension, and so, you know, like I said, our customers really wanted more capability, and they wanted to be able to go faster over rougher terrain. So we gave them long travel suspension. So it's got 11.5 inches of suspension travel in the front and 14 inches of suspension travel in the back. Front and back, it's got Walker Evans 2.0 clicker shocks. So 2.0 aluminum bodies, dual rate springs with a true crossover from the factory, and then 16 click compression adjustable shocks. So with the crossover, it's completely adjustable, and so you can really adjust when your tender spring gets into your main spring, and really gives you complete control over the ride. So like I had said, it's an all new platform start to finish. So with that, we were able to really address a lot of strength and durability things that we wanted to get better at. So the main frame of the chassis is 31% bigger. It's a heck of a lot stronger, and it's a lot more durable. So this one's got an all new steering design on it as well, again specifically for that 55-inch stance and the new chassis. So it's got a new high output power steering pump, and then the calibration is variable depending on speed and calibrated specifically for the vehicle. And then moving down, we actually have a new rendition of our Pro Steer design, which has a pitman arm and then an idler arm with a drag link connecting. And that actually moves the tie rod points outboard. So a lot of that bump steer that's common in a lot of ATVs is now virtually eliminated. So for the new Sportsman XP 1000S, we got a brand new set of wheels and tires on here as well. So it's got 27-inch Duro Power Grip V2 tires on newly designed 14-inch aluminum wheels. We got a 9-inch tire in the front and then an 11-inch wide tire in the back. And that wide tire in the back really helps for stability, and then when you want to haul and tow, really helps the rear end track straight under load. So the power plant on the XP 1000S is the same 1000 ProStar engine that we've been using for a couple years in our ATVs. 952cc twin cylinder, really strong torque curve, 89 horsepower, which gets this ATV up and moving for sure.
A new center-mounted exhaust costs the engine 1 horsepower compared to last year, but it shaves a little weight and helps centralize mass.
Moving back a little bit, this one does get a beefed up transmission. So it's got an upgraded transmission chain and final drive sprocket to really help with the strength and kind of the added load of long travel, long axles, and then bigger tires.
A beefed up front drive for the Sportsman S comes directly from the Ranger XP 1000 side-by-side, allowing for 4-wheel braking and Polaris active descent control.
So with the all-new platform that we built specifically for the XP 1000S, we were able to do a lot of improvements on the capacity and capability of the vehicle as well. So the front rack capacity has gone up to 200 pounds, the rear rack capacity has gone up to 300 pounds, and then it can actually tow 1,750 pounds with the standard 2-inch receiver in the back. Some of the features that a lot of our kind of more premium Sportsman customers were already putting on their vehicle, we've included. So the main one being the front and rear Ultimate Series bumper, and then the 3,500 pound winch that comes standard on the vehicle.
The Sportsman S is slowed by a single handlebar mounted lever controlled all-wheel braking system with a separate rear brake pedal. Brake lines are steel braided. Dimensions have grown quite a bit compared to the 2019 Sportsman XP 1000 Premium we recently tested. The S boasts 2.6 inches more suspension travel up front and 3 3/4 inches more out back. It's a claimed 7.4 inches wider, its wheelbase around 4 inches longer, and it enjoys 2.5 inches more ground clearance. Seat height has now reached motocross dirt bike levels at 37 inches. The Sportsman's added durability, work capability, width, and suspension upgrades have added up to a 92-pound weight increase, with the S tipping the scales at a somewhat frightening claimed dry weight of 970 pounds. Our test rider was Ed Texera from Texera Tech Chassis Components. He was chosen to test ride for us due to his desert racing background and experience testing and developing parts for the Scrambler and Sportsman. Stepping aboard the Sportsman, the first thing you notice is that the seat height is super tall, although you quickly adjust to it as you feel out the machine's confidence-inspiring stability. Engine performance was very familiar. The Sportsman pulls smoothly off the bottom, pulling hard through the mid-range and feeling as though you're never going to run out of power. While its increased mass might detract a bit from the power-to-weight ratio of the S, in wide open spaces, we found it more thrilling to ride than the original Sportsman 1000, as you're able to more easily take advantage of the engine's nearly 90 horsepower output. For working or casual cruising, the engine braking works well. Suspension is a lot like the standard XP 1000 on steroids. It's plush over small to medium-sized bumps, and its increased travel will absorb hits that would easily push the narrower 1000 shocks to their limits. The Sportsman S is better at dealing with whooped-out terrain, although if you push it too hard, you will find the limits of the travel with the stock shock settings. Jumping, bottoming resistance doesn't seem to be on par with the new Scrambler S. The longer front end helps keep the front tires planted on climbs and the back end planted on descents. Its 55-inch width takes stability to the next level on side hills, but there is some body roll during aggressive cornering. Braking hard into turns, the factory shock settings allow the front end to dive a bit more than we'd like. Entering corners aggressively, the front end pushes more notably than the Scrambler S. We feel it's primarily due to the traction of the wider back tires overpowering the fronts. The Sportsman S also uses a different Duro tire than the Scrambler. At normal trail speeds, we found cornering predictability and overall suspension performance to be quite good. And we suspect that we can improve on the Sportsman's high-speed prowess by taking advantage of the shock's adjustability. We feel the Sportsman's stock suspension settings should be slightly more in line with that of the Scrambler. After all, just because the Sportsman can work hard doesn't mean the rider doesn't want to ride just as hard when the work gets done. Having experienced the high-speed twitchiness of previous Scrambler and Sportsman models, Ed felt that the S high-speed steering felt less sensitive, overly nervous, and more natural than in years past. Power steering performance remains very good at lower speeds. While weight is definitely getting out of hand for a ride-on four-wheeled machine, as usual, Polaris power steering and notoriously plush suspension do a remarkable job of hiding its heft. In conclusion, as thrilled as we are about this new innovative machine, it's once again a glaring reminder that manufacturers are forgetting that blue-collar performance enthusiasts are the ones that put the power sports industry on the map. Admittedly, this ATV is not for everybody. It's as expensive as many side-by-sides. It's too wide to fit between the wheel wells on some mid-sized trucks. If you ride on trails between 50 and 60 inches in width and speed is your thing, you might be faster on a narrower, more maneuverable machine. The long travel, wide track 2020 Sportsman XP 1000S creates a new segment in ATVing, bringing with it some much needed excitement in the world of ATVs. We can imagine the Sportsman S working hard on a big ranch, construction site, or being used to haul big game back from a hunt. It's sure to be the dominant Sport Utility 4x4 ATV in the desert, the dunes, and a dream machine for anyone looking to take on today's wider, more demanding trails. With no other machines in its class, the 2020 Polaris Sportsman XP 1000S is a more capable Sport Utility ATV, designed to keep up with a changing off-road world. For more information on the 2020 Polaris Sportsman XP 1000S and their full line of ATVs and side-by-sides, log on to Polaris.com.